let's get into your thinking about, your framework of, like, take us through your process. If when you work with a company to sort of prepare them for an exit, what's the process that you take them through? What's the thinking that you would want to deploy?
Okay, so I don't have a process.
Okay.
Is the simple truth of it. Everything I do is bespoke to the company I work with.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
I do have a kind of mindset that I go through though when I'm doing, and the first part of any of this stuff for me is discovery. And that's where the most of the process is coming from, or the mindset is coming from. And you start with, I'm not a finance guy. I know enough about finance. I'm not a CFO. I'm more of a commercial guy than a CFO guy. So I tend to start with the commercials. What are you selling? Who are you selling it to? Where's your profit margin? How's it all hanging together? And are you selling something that someone wants to buy? Because I very often find that within that world, just as a growth thing, it doesn't even have to be an exit thing. People undervalue themselves. They undervalue their products, undervalue their services. So you can very often get a very quick win there just by increasing your pricing by 10%. And your customers would be delighted with that. I mean, they're kind of thinking, oh man, I've had 5 years of you being incredibly cheap. Now I'm just paying what I should have been paying all along.
Right.
So you can look at that. So I always look at the commercials first. I then go behind that and I look at the finances. Only because the finances are where you can find lots of the skeletons. Even if you weren't looking for skeletons, even if the business doesn't believe it has skeletons, the finances is where it's going to come out. You're going to find a line in a budget somewhere, and it's kind of like, what's that for? I don't know. I've always meant to ask that. I should go away and figure it out. Yeah, let's do that before we get into due diligence then. And then from there, I go into the operations, the people, the HR, who are key employees, who, if they choose to leave tomorrow, it would be sad to lose a team member, but they're not going to disrupt the business and things like that. But essentially, the thought process in my head, I touch every part of a business. I look at there's nothing I don't touch. And the one that's very often overlooked is customer service. I find people always overlook customer service, and yet they're the ones that are talking to your customers every day. It's like, maybe you should be talking to them more often. But essentially what I do is, during that discovery process, is I do the type of due diligence I would expect an investor to do, so that I find it before they find it. And if I find it, we can fix it. And if we can't fix it because it's 2 or 5 years to kind of change something, then at least we can get a story, a narrative written about it. We can start putting a plan. We've identified this as a weakness within our business.
Here's what we're doing about it.
Working on it for 6 months, but there's another 18 months before we've got it fixed. But do you know what? That's a great thing, because you're going to invest in us now, and you're going to get the benefit of this work in 18 months' time, and that's where it comes to grow.
So that helps me a lot, actually, when you saying that, because when you're talking about 3 to 6 months of kind of getting ramped up to sell, that time frame surprised me, thinking it would be much longer than that for your typical company who doesn't have all their stuff together. But when you put it that way, there are probably some key things that you're going to unearth that don't take 2 years to turn around. It's about the intent of turning them around and starting to work on that. Investors are going to see the truth in that.